Hey everybody, this is Jen in Tucson, Arizona. This is the first weekend of April 2020, and this will be a short video on basically the hows and whys of raised bed vegetable gardening in Tucson. I'm making these videos for some friends of mine who are starting to vegetable garden for the first time or restarting. I'm not an expert, but I am successful at growing my own food, and I'm really glad to at least show you what I did and point you to the resources that I used when I was getting started on this. Before you get started, you might consider what seeds and what starts you can get your hands on right now. There are a number of places that are closed right now. I usually get seeds from Native Seed Search. There are other places that you can get them for sure. Online mail orders. I'm sure Native Seeds will be open again soon, or maybe through mail order with any luck. EcoGrow is a fantastic resource for getting anything you need, and there's so many other really great resources here in Tucson. I'll show you what I use in the next video that's going to be on soil. Let's see. Also, if you aren't able to get the seeds and the starts that you want at stores, or the farmer's market, which I don't think is happening right now, ask your friends and collaborate, because a lot of people have more than they need. I might, so you could check with me. And it's really so valuable to network with your friends and neighbors around what you have and what they're doing, and share information. And when you start growing more than you need, it's a great time to start sharing and trading as well. You may also want to weigh right now whether you prefer to plant now or wait until do all your preparation work now and plant in September for a winter garden. There also is a window of opportunity to do some planting once the monsoons start, but a rule of thumb is to get whatever you plant well established before June, which is the hideous month, and that gives your plants an edge on being able to get through it. And also make sure that you're using seeds and starts that will specifically thrive in the Tucson summer. I'll put some resources in the comments below so you can see what you could use. I've lived here for about 6 years, and I was able to set things up pretty much the way I wanted to once I solved the drainage problem. And I'll show you what I have done. I have 3 raised beds totaling about 100 square feet. I put them in at the same time as a drip irrigation system. I added gutters onto my house and 3 rainwater cisterns as well. Through the City of Tucson program, I got a really very helpful rebate. Tucson's got a great program for that. I'll show you that if that interests you. Just let me know. Raised beds solve a lot of the problems that we have here in Tucson, most specifically soil quality and drainage. Those of you who have tried to dig a hole in the desert southwest know that we have a layer of caliche that takes a pry bar or a jackhammer to get through sometimes if you want to put in a tree or whatever, but raised beds get around a lot of those problems. And I certainly don't have to tell you how harsh it is here. Probably the most difficult elements are the dryness. You know, the humidity today is about 11%, and the temperature swings in the shoulder seasons can sometimes be between 35 degrees between the low and the high temperature Fahrenheit in the course of a day. So that's hard on vegetables. And we're pretty resourceful here in the desert, so I've seen some really cool raised beds made of railroad ties or concrete blocks, bricks, planks, all sorts of things. But whatever you use, keep in mind your soil should be at least 15 inches deep. Not necessarily more, but make sure it's 15 inches deep, and that your bed should be at least 3 feet wide. The soil depth accounts for growing deep-rooted vegetables and gives you options to grow what you really wish to grow. But the combination of the adequate depth and width in a garden will help you regulate the temperature and the moisture of your growing area. So make those 2 things non-negotiable if you can. Another reason for a certain width of the garden I wouldn't go maybe more than 6 feet. You want to be able to easily reach across the width of your garden, and go as long as you have room for. Um, the rule of thumb for growing vegetables is to have 6 to 8 hours of sunshine in the day. That's hardly ever a problem here in Tucson, unless you've got a lot of overhanging trees. I have one tree near my garden. Oh, actually, you can see it right here. My garden, two of my gardens on the other side of this, and it's deciduous. So it's a great place for winter, and it's really no big deal in the summer. I get more than enough sun. I also put on hoops for over my garden. I've seen some people use PVC pipes and other solutions and make some really cool like tunnels for their squash to grow onto. But the primary purpose of those hoops are for shade cloth to hang on that doesn't hang on your plants, and also for frost cloth in the winter, which is important and useful. And when you choose the place that you're going to put your garden, if you have a choice of space and options, first consider the path of shadows across your yard and from your walls. I'll show you what I'm doing to sort of tell you what I'm thinking along those lines. And if possible, if you're just going to grow in the winter, it's great if you can get eastern exposure, so you have some first light of day on your vegetables. And in the summer, you may not have an option, so if you do, you can weigh those out, and you can also put raised beds in different sizes to fit the spaces that you have. I chose these kits from Gardener Supply, which is a company out of Vermont. They make raised bed kits. They actually make a couple different kinds, but the one that I liked was made of SFI certified Western red cedar. The planks are an inch thick, so you're not taking up a lot of precious space with the material of your raised bed. They're very secure. Ones that are over, I think, 8 feet long, have a divider in the middle. The boards screw into aluminum corners that you could put an irrigation kit through if you wanted to. I chose not to. Mine are 5 to 6 years old, and you can treat them with a citrus vegetable oil or whatever you want. Cedar's rot resistant. It's a good material for that. I expect mine to last another 10 or 12 years, especially if I remember to treat them annually or whatever. So let me show you what I have. Okay, so here are my two larger beds. If I was to face this way, I'd be looking north. So these are, this is my 4x12 bed, and over here is a 4x8. This is Jack right here. And these are the beds I mentioned I got from Gardener Supply. I didn't get the irrigation kits that come with them. They're pretty easy to put together. They have aluminum corners like I mentioned. You just screw them together and line them with landscape cloth and then fill them. As I mentioned, the next video will be on soil composition. I like to have these hoops on them. This is just this year's arrangement of hoops, which has worked all right for me based on how I planted things. I've already put the shade cloth on them. Here we go. I got the shade cloth at EcoGrow, and you can get them in really large pieces. They'll cut them to size for you. This bed in particular gets eastern sun, so the first light of morning shines in here along the north side of my house, and this has been a really good placement for a winter garden because the nights here can be pretty cold sometimes, and they respond very well to morning sun. This one a little bit less so. A couple things about what's in these beds. This is really a transition time of year. Everything that's in the right half of this bed and this one over here is basically just finishing up its season. There's some golden and red beets in here, a few carrots, some bluebells that decided to grow there, and some green onions. Over here, these are some lettuces that are going to seed. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to collect the seeds or not, or just replant the area. I keep hearing that, today's April 1st, 2020, and I keep hearing that seeds are selling really quickly because a lot of people are gardening and concerned about food security, or maybe just have a lot of free time, maybe all of those factors. But I need to think about it this weekend. But these plants are going to seed, and I need to make some decisions about what to do this weekend. And over here on the left-hand side are also lettuces. I think these I planted in the maybe January, I guess. And this is a group that I planted about 3 weeks ago, and hopefully we'll have enough time to let them mature and do their thing before it gets too hot. And then some snap bees in the background. And I hope to make their season last a little longer with a little bit of extra water, or splitting their water regime in the morning and evening, and then covering them up with this nice shade cloth. And every Arizona gardener needs shade cloth, probably. I also wanted to mention that this is the tubing that I like. This is just your typical tubing, but it has an emitter every 6 inches. You can get them every 9 inches or every 12 inches. And maybe a good decision based on what you plan to garden. But in my opinion, drip irrigation is definitely the way to go. And hopefully you can conceive of that at the same time you're building your bed. I can do a video just on that if you guys are interested. Each of these beds also has a manual shutoff valve. And since I rotate things and have different plans for all of them, it's good to be able to control your watering regime and to do manual watering from cisterns as much as possible. Like for example, one bed I usually put root vegetable seeds in the winter, and then another one I'll put starts in. So those have different needs, and I don't put them on the same watering routine until they have the same needs. So that's it for these two beds. So this is the last of the 3 beds that I wanted to show you. This is a 3x6, also 15 inches deep. We are facing south right now, and I kind of shoehorned this bed in here after I'd lived here for a year or two, with the idea of having an area to grow just in the summer, and wanting as much space as I could to grow in. This is between a couple of small trees. All that considered, in the summer it does get the ample sun that vegetables need to grow. I usually just grow beans in here. I had, you may be wondering what's in here right now. There's 2 tomato plants and some carrots. So I had some beans in here last late fall, and these produce really well. These really beautiful different kinds of beans that I grew in a short season in a small space. This is just a few of them that I got at Native Seed Search. And I had a little extra space among them to put a few extra carrot seeds I had. So that's how those ended up there. And I put in these tomato plants a couple weeks ago, which a friend gave to me. So anyway, as soon as those carrots are done doing their thing, I'm going to add the beans. Pretty much everything around here right now is in transition from one season to the next. So I have 3 trays of seeds. So basically 36 plants times 3 on the front porch growing, and some of those I'm going to put in here. I've got, I think, 4 kinds of beans, and in the other vegetable gardens I will add the remainder of the plants, some various different kinds. So that's this one.